And we're off. I'd like to call the October 15th, 2019 meeting of the Old Town Planning Board to order and approve the minutes. Surprise.
I have a question on the minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I'll make a motion to approve them, but there are some grammatical and spelling errors. Is that what you were going to reference?
No, I was gonna.
Then you won't get another one.
I know, that's my point.
But I'm probably gonna watch it on the internet all day long.
Under the
No.
two approval of the motions,
Yeah.
it says none opposed and the motion carries 6-1.
Yeah. 69. Did I put 61?
You did on both.
Okay.
And he sent me two of the packets too. So this is, I'm beginning to see a pattern here.
Yeah, early onset, bud.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we have a motion and presumably a second.
I'll second with those corrections.
Yes?
And the dramatic.
Any further discussion, additions,
You won't get
deletions?
another one.
None. Hearing none. All in favor of accepting the minutes? Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
I'll say thank you.
No, it's fine. Just tease.
Nice work, Dave.
Item 3 is the site plan application for 614 Main Street for a 4-unit apartment building, tax map 28, lot number 3, case number 1541. You're here.
You're up.
Good evening, Chair, members of the Planning Board. My name is Oscar Emerson, Down to Earth Professional Land Services. I'm here to represent Brian Wilcox for his submittal of site plan and subdivision review for 614 Main Street in Old Town. This project is very similar to a site that Mr. Wilcox had previously got approved and constructed on the other side of Skip's Auto Repair. So this is sort of a bookend and close to a mirror image of what he's accomplished just down the street a bit. Currently, the lot, the subject lot, is undeveloped. It did house a multifamily dwelling that has been raised, and there was a detached garage that was associated with it. So right now the site's more or less a fielded, slightly wooded lot with a concrete slab and an existing curb cut. What Mr. Wilcox is proposing to do is to construct and install a 4-unit, 2-bedroom multifamily structure with associated paved parking. Paved parking provides 2 parking stalls per unit with the conventional conventionally parking stalls are 9 by 18. Mr. Wilcox likes to have his parking stalls a little wider. So we have 8 10 by 18 stalls with the conventional 24-foot travel aisle to give the adequate maneuverability for the passenger cars to move in and out. The curb cut, the entrance for the parking lot, is very, very close to where the existing curb cut was on the accessing the previous dwelling. The topography for this site is very similar to all the lots that's along Main Street in that area, where you have this flat terrace. You have this flat area, and then it terraces down to a lower area. When you look at the soils, mapping for all these sites here, which is included in your packet, the soil is like I think it's an Estabrook, but it's a urban land filled type of material. So this area is historically a bit of a fill area, and then I think that's what is associated with this flat plateau and then the sloping down to the lower portions. Just like the other project that Mr. Wilcox had constructed, we're going to take advantage of this flat upper terrace to avoid any excessive filling. So there'll be a nice flat area behind the building here. This is all pretty much 1% or less topography here proposed with a flat area here, 3-to-1 slope going down to a stone level spreader where I'll address in just a second. The site has going to take advantage of the existing infrastructure that's associated with Main Street, with the public sewer, public water, stormwater. There is a catch basin located sort of in front of the site, just catty corner from the subject lot. And you'll see that there's a long stormwater pipe going from the roadway to the lower reaches behind this adjacent lot. We're not going to be utilizing any of the stormwater structures here, so we're not going to be impacting it or asking it to have any more accommodation for stormwater. What we're going to do is we're going to shed the water in a little bit in this area right here, some right here. It's going to be captured in a swale. There is an existing swale here now, but we're going to be capturing it on an on-site swale, stone line, and putting it into a level spreader and spreading that stormwater this whole length. So as far as the pre and post for stormwater, in the existing conditions, you have a point discharge here and you have a point discharge here that's going on. What we're doing is we're going to, instead of having two concentrated areas here, we're going to stretch it out and just let it meander sheet flow. We're going to turn the shallow concentrated flow into sheet flow, and so we're not going to like add to the concentration here. We're actually going to spread it out. So
So you're going to put a rock outflow there?
exactly a long.
What size
flat-
is the aggregate going to be?
I think I have a 3-inch diameter D50 stone. So what that is the average is 3 inches. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But the average stone size is 3-inch. We have a little turnaround area here, a notch out for the paved parking. That's where the dumpster is going to be installed or placed. As far as site lighting, like the other project, we have a pole that's right in front of we have actually 2 poles that's right in front of the subject lot, and we're gonna have a lamp that's gonna go onto the parking lot, so it's not going to go on to any adjacent residential properties. It's not going to go into the road. And of course, this is commercial here, and the Shoreys have been working with Mr. Wilcox with this project on both sides, as a matter of fact, to make sure that we had the required frontage for this lot, which would be, I think it's 105 feet. I think it's required frontage.
Yep.
We have 105.4 feet, so the Shoreys conveyed a 6.5-foot strip to this lot to give it the required frontage for this number of units. And the required area, I believe, is 1,200 square feet and 1,200 square feet.
12,000.
12,000, and we got 15,007 provided. So, we look at some of the impacts here. We do have letters from the sewer district. We have letters from the water district. Traffic, we have, 8 parking stalls, which is, not a big traffic generator. We have solid waste, which is going to be handled by the owner, by Mr. Wilcox. He's going to be under contract with the dumpster, so there's not going to be an impact on the municipality as far as solid waste handling. Erosion control, you'll see in my packet that I've addressed erosion control with erosion control mix, and I also put a detail in for the level spreader. There's also a note on the plan to ensure that before any construction activities, all areas are going to receive erosion control mix, down gradient of any earth disturbance.
He's placed some silt fence there now, I noticed.
you know, Dave has the fire department had a chance to get back with you on this.
It's gonna be a sprinkled building. so-
Okay, so it's gonna be a sprinkled building. It's the
Is
other,
the other project on Main Street, is that sprinkled as well?
so, you know, I'm looking at impacts here for the municipality, you know, and how they're being addressed. And I think I pretty much covered everything here. For the, you know, the capacity of the applicant, he's in, you know, he's got a pretty good track record already, just recently of projects, you know, very similar to this. The project's not in the floodplain. And we're not gonna be proposing outdoor sales, it's not of that nature. We have provided the deeds in the packet. We have a stormwater management study and the erosion control details.
So
So
Mr.
that's-
Wilcox is the owner of the other project on Main Street by Skips, right?
Exactly, on the other side, on the right-hand side,
Okay,
on the left.
And this may be a question for Dave as well. I remember when that application came before us, I think Russell had a comment on that as well, is that the design changed over
The
what we.
design did not change, it was misconstrued at the meeting. The question was asked, how do you get from the parking lot to the building? And Oscar said, to the center of the building. And we all
Thought
started
it was interior,
envisioning,
yeah. And so that was,
you don't have a two-story townhouse with a hall running down the.
well, it's, yeah,
But you go to the center of the building, and that's where you go up to the front decks and up the upper.
okay, so, well, there's like a balcony and the front deck on there
Yeah.
that I didn't remember in the plan. So is this one gonna be as it is, and this is what you're intending?
This is the one that is the zone Stillwater Avenue, that 4-unit he built up there.
Mhm.
This is the.
Okay, so
exact
it will
rep-
not have an overhang and a deck and,
No.
and
No.
stairs like the one by Skips?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay,
No.
If so, it will all still, it will still be encompassed, you know, into this area, but no, I don't believe he's gonna have the overhang.
What he's shown there is what, because I made sure that we didn't run again into the.
okay, well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily have any problem, I don't think
No.
anyone else would, but we just wanna make sure we're
No.
approving something, that's what
The
gets
6
built.
units that he has, he's got one over in Milford or Bradley. The 6 units have because you have 3 down and 3 up, these are townhouse style that.
Okay, so they've got, yeah, so they've got an entrance, and I presumably, there's a rear egress as well, or is there a back door?
Yes.
Yeah, there is, yeah. Okay, is that on the, just make sure I understand, I'm reading this, maybe you can help me get it. Is there, this is the front, and then you've got, is that a sliding door? in the
Yes.
back?
Yeah.
Is that what that shows?
It
And-
shows.
And will there be a deck on the back, or?
There'll be a deck on the back.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so that's not on the plan, but is it necessary?
The other one, they're not decks, he has patios outside them.
Okay,
Right here, Ted?
oh, that's it?
That's it.
Okay. So there's like just a little patio type thing, that's
Yeah,
an
they were
elevated.
stone patios.
Well, it does show a second
That's the
floor.
front door. Right,
There's no second floor deck.
and then there's
There
a
is.
sliding glass
Yes, there
door,
is.
a sliding glass door to access the back.
Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure I understood what that said, so. Okay, anybody else have any other questions?
I don't think that's what it's supposed to be.
Well, what is that supposed to be?
I don't know.
Is that like a canopy?
Because the
over-
other one, they just had windows on the second floor of the bedrooms. I can't read that.
Says bottom of top of subfloor. but
Yeah.
Layers or fire.
No, I'm trying to read what that is. That's just a double hung window, I believe, in that bedroom. Well,
So
yeah.
I'm not seeing a sliding glass door in the back?
Not on the second floor, on the first floor they did.
Okay, all right.
Out of the dining area, there was a slider there, but the upstairs was just
Just windows, huh?
a double window.
So maybe is that a balcony or a canopy over the,
No, just-
I was under the understanding was having, I have a little balcony on the back.
Yep. And he needs to give us plans that accurately depict.
yeah. That'd be my concern.
I mean, I
We-
don't care if he has one out back.
I mean, you can have a calliope out there if you want, but we should have an accurate plan. Is that necessary, Dave, or can he amend it?
It's not encroaching into setbacks, so that's totally up to you.
I mean, as far as the building, as far as the foundation, which is what I'm depicting here on the site plan, is meeting all the setbacks. And of course, in the rear, you've got plenty of, you've got another 15, 20 feet before you even hit a setback line here.
Right.
So, yeah, but, I'm not, on my-
It certainly
Yeah.
would add to the livability of
Right.
the project.
yeah. So on my
I
site
suppose it's
plan, I'm
not
showing the
necessary,
foundation per
I
se,
mean, if you want to add that later, he'd have to get a building permit.
That's what I would think, that's a building permit issue, as far as, you're not meeting any, we're not gonna.
So it's not going to really materially change the
Oh, I
footprint
see,
or
okay.
change the setbacks.
Absolutely not.
So it's not something we need to be concerned
Does
about
the-
as a planning board?
Does this patio count towards the impervious? How big is the patio out back? Is that gonna count towards the impervious area of the
It's
property?
like-
Stone. It's stone.
It's not going to add much.
They were like 6 by 4 deep,
So they're just little,
place to set a grill off the side.
Certainly wouldn't have any impact on any impervious.
Is that going to be
type
grassed in
calculations.
back there beyond the patio?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's gonna be lawn, yeah.
I mean, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
just, we ought to have accurate plans.
I think these plans are accurate. I think this thing that's being shown here is the canopies over the front doors.
That's what I- yeah.
It's the other way around.
But that's on the back, though.
This is the canopies on the front.
No.
Looking at it from the right, so you would turn the building. I believe those are, unless it's
It's looking
labeled
from
wrong.
this direction, right?
Yeah.
I will concede that point.
I believe,
Good
because
thing
that's
we've got
what they
engineers
are
on board
over
here.
on.
You know, 'cause I'm confused. Sorry.
Well, when you, in a drawing, you look at the front view,
Right.
and then, so the right view is from over here. So what's shown here should actually be up here on the drawing, so you would be looking at it if you were standing on this side of the building, and those are the little roofs that go over the doors.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
And so it's not showing a patio in the
Right.
back, but it is showing some sort of, but I believe that's probably where the top and the bottom are.
I think it's just an eve over the sliders.
Right.
Well, again, I would seem that the issue for us is setbacks for the zone.
Right.
And that we're measuring from the foundation. That's what our practice has been. And he's gonna have to get a building permit to add a substantial deck back there, which is fine.
Yep.
And he would have to get a building permit even upon site plan review. He would
Right.
approval, he has to get the building permit.
I understand. What I would just
Yep.
trying to discuss here, is that something we need to be concerned about? I'm thinking no.
Well, it's certainly not gonna have any, impact on my site plan here.
Right.
As far as any of the topics that I've brought
The
up and
actual
discussed.
footprint or the setbacks.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, just asking the question.
No, it's good to flesh it out.
I'm a volunteer, but anyway. Any other concerns? Is that, Phil, does that look all right to
Yeah, it
you?
looks fine to me. Is there any need to have egress to the back, though, with a vehicle, for any reasons? No? Okay.
No, they're good.
What do they do over time as this drain becomes plugged?
Oh, they would have to maintain it. Like, if that became silted and it wasn't functioning, that's the responsibility of the developer and the owner to keep that stone
scoop it
free
out.
of any sediments, and so it doesn't compromise its
So
function.
how is that monitored? And I guess that would be a question to you, or,
When we do these projects that have within the MS4, the company that's Stillwater Environmental that does our stormwater stuff looks at them.
So, okay, so it does get checked on occasion. So, to Phil's question, wouldn't they need some sort of egress to get to the back to be able to repair that, or to keep that?
Well, how much room have you got on the back? Can you get a
I guess
vehicle
there
back
would be
there if you have to?
enough
I
on
mean,
the.
you have 10 feet right here, which is relatively flat, so you could get a skid steer.
Okay.
And that, you
So
wouldn't
you-
need anything more than a
No,
skid steer.
you wouldn't.
Yeah,
10 feet's enough.
yeah. So you wouldn't need any big, heavy equipment, nor would you want to, you know, muck things up too much with a big piece of equipment.
And that's,
And that is an interesting point that Dave brought up with the MS4, because clearly this project doesn't meet any type of thresholds with DEP, which they have their own review criteria.
Right.
Say that, I digress, so I like to talk a little bit, but say that this project was over an acre of impervious in size, and I had to go to DEP to get the stormwater permit.
right.
Well, part of that permit, part of the condition for that permit, and you may all know this, but just FYI, is when I make an application submittal and get the approval, in that application submittal, there's actually a booklet that I'm including that the developer or the owner has to make out twice a year, 3 times a year, and they're supposed to go down and check something like this stormwater berm, stormwater swale, and inspect it, and if there's anything that they need to do, they have to correct it. They have to keep those sheets, they sign it, and they keep it in a 3-ring binder. And if DEP audits them, they've got to come up with this 3-ring binder of every year that
Right.
they've reviewed it. Now, if this wasn't, now this not being an acre of impervious and not meeting DEP's threshold, good question, how is this monitored if it's through the cracks, more or less, or so small? MS4, being an MS4 community.
Well, you've got a code enforcement officer here, and then, I mean, for me as a forester in unorganized territories, we operate most of the time under permit by rule. And if I put in a settling pond adjacent to a PSL2, a brook, then it has to work. If it isn't working, anybody, forest ranger, game warden can say, that's not working. And if I drive by and it looks like it's filling up, well, I schedule when the bulldozer, the excavator's going by, 2 scoops and you're done, So I think it's well covered either way. And it's not gonna be an issue because there's no slope there, there isn't gonna be any soil movement.
Yeah, I don't anticipate that there's, like this is gonna fill up with sediments in our careers, in our lifetime. But
Yeah.
it's something that just needs to be, you have to keep an eye on it, just to
Yeah.
make sure. Because if it fills up with sediments, then you've got an impact on an adjacent property owner.
Right, and what you've done here, it mitigates the adjacent
Exactly.
property owner.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions? I'm sorry to give you the 3rd degree here.
Oh, no,
not
it's,
complicated.
I like these discussions.
Okay, well, we've addressed the findings of fact. Would you prefer to have us go through them?
No,
or-
if you're good with them, I'm good with them.
I mean, we've discussed every one of them, I was keeping track. But if you, I guess we could ask for a motion to accept the findings of fact as discussed and depicted in the Brian Wilcox submission.
I'll make that a motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? None opposed, and then.
That would be 6-0.
It would be.
Yeah, pretty sure. We count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, you're right.
No patio, no deck either.
And I guess to be formal, we should ask for a motion to approve the site plan application as presented.
I make that a motion, and I was just looking to see if there was phraseology about the deed and all that.
Well, it's tax map 28, lot 3,
Oh,
case
okay,
number
right here, I'm sorry,
1541.
Correct. For tax map 28, lot 3, case 1541. I make a motion that we accept the site plan as presented to us.
I'll second. We have motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? And none. Well, wait, Sandra, are you okay? Okay, all right, just wanted to check, make sure. We're good.
All right,
We're good, so,
thank you.
we are approved, and we're looking forward to it. I think these are
Is this
well,
planned to
very
be
needed.
built this fall, is it?
Yes. Yeah, he wants to get under construction this fall.
'Cause he
Good,
did a-
well, we
did a
certainly,
super job on the other one.
Certainly appreciate his, the ones he has done, in my opinion, and we look pretty good. So we appreciate it.
New business, old business.
New business, old business.
All right, last month when you were absent,
Yeah.
I brought a small sketch plan of 190 Brunswick Street, Bernie Labree's building that burnt. They're getting ready to start construction.
Well, I saw the email, and did you get my response?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oscar is also working on that one
Yeah,
that I hope answered some of the questions that you folks had. Just kind of share them, they're big.
so this is, we're just discussing this at this point? This is a workshop? Not a formal site plan review?
Based? Oh, I'll wait until I pass them out for you.
Yeah, that'll fill up the site, all right.
Based on the ordinance, it strictly deals with non-conforming structures. The non-conforming structure was destroyed by fire, rebuilt to the same footprint within 12 months. It doesn't have to go to anybody, except for a building permit. This hasn't been 12 months, but I wanted you folks to feel comfortable with what was going on, or if you decide you wanted to go to full site plan, which is pretty much what he's got here for you. That's totally up to you as well.
Now, there is an egress onto Center Street.
Egress onto Center Street only, and the thought pattern that Oscar had, and we had discussed it, if there's any queuing, it won't be out on Center Street, it'll be on their own property. So if they have to wait for traffic,
Right.
they're not waiting to make a left turn in or,
And the site distance is adequate there?
There was an existing access there.
Right.
You mind if I just introduce?
go right ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what we have here is, on your site plan, is, you'll see my setbacks. We have two parcels. We have this parcel that had the multifamily that burnt down, and we also have, in the same ownership, and we also have this existing 4-unit multifamily dwelling that's still there. The structure that you see now before you has the same amount of units that the existing one had that burnt down. To accommodate this new building, and as well as this 4-unit here, we have 18 units total. Needed to come up with 36 parking stalls. I'm not quite sure how that layout worked existing on, if it even had 36 parking stalls. I don't know for sure.
I don't believe it did.
But, so anyways, utilizing what's there now, this is approximately where the building is. You have this flat spot up at the top here. The difference being is, I don't believe the other building had the level where you can walk in this way, and then it goes down a story, and you can walk out this way. I think the people parked here and walked around. I wasn't quite.
They did have interior stairwells that
Oh,
went
they
down.
did,
Yeah.
okay. And did they have a walkout this way as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I
They did.
remember seeing one.
Okay, I wasn't, so I'm duplicating that. But the difference between this site plan and what is existing out there now is, you see these steep contours right here. To get the 36 stalls that I need, I'm bringing this parking lot, which is close to being on that edge of pavement that's there now, and I'm cutting in a little ways, so you really have a walkout type of scenario right here. So I needed to grab this little bit of embankment, if you would, to get this herringbone 45-degree alignment to get, as you can see, I've used up pretty much all the site to get my 36 stalls, to meet today's parking lot dimensions. And I think that's probably the difference between this and previous, is that that was grandfathered, and it probably didn't have some of the same travel aisle dimensions and parking lot stall dimensions that I'm required to do, with a new layout, or, a new layout. With that 45-degree herringbone alignment, you only have one-way traffic. So that's why I have this one-way out. You have two-way traffic here for the 8 stalls that goes along. This gives you the parking stalls for here. This gives you the parking stalls, more or less, for this building right here.
So the people parking in the back actually don't really have an option to go out on Brunswick Street. They've got to go out to Center.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
And there's sufficient sight distance.
Yes.
I've asked that before, I know.
Yeah.
The reason I'm a little sensitive is because I T-boned a kid right at that intersection who ran the stop sign
Okay.
in 2013. I was not happy about it, but since then, they put put the blinking lights. It's a lot better. Of
It
course, the
does
kid
help.
didn't have any brakes in his Jeep, which is, neither here nor there.
I will say, Ted, that I walked up and down pretty much the center of this road with the survey equipment, and I could, protect my own butt, making sure I wasn't going to get run over, because it never really slows down there too
No.
much as far as volume of traffic. I had plenty of sight distance to get my butt out of the roadway before I got run over when I was
Yeah,
trying to
well,
take a shot.
Because from there, you have Shirley Street, the entire post office lot, and then.
I mean, it's a busy spot,
Oh, yes.
and like I said, somebody runs a stop sign or they're going too fast there, then it's not the fault of the design, it's just the fault of the people driving, so.
So
Dave,
I-
can I
you know-
ask
Yeah, go
a quick question? Informally, when we talked about this the last time, you had indicated that other apartment was going to be torn down for.
I didn't know if he had talked about that earlier in discussion.
Does that need to come down to help with the square footage, or are we clear with that?
No,
It's fine?
Yeah,
Okay.
with the
Yeah, just a
R2
question.
standards that we have to
Yep.
use here,
Yep.
we have enough property, because he was gonna tear that down to
Right.
see if he could get more units.
That's what
He was
I,
gonna end up with the exact same number,
Okay.
so instead of tearing down a functional building,
sure.
And
Yeah.
this is the original footprint.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
They have removed the lot line between the two, so this has now become or is going to become one single property. But the overall density meets the R2 zoning ordinance.
And is, from what you're saying, according to the ordinance, it's within a year, he doesn't even have to come to us, we don't need to make a decision on anything.
But where it's this far along, if you'd like it to come to you, that's what I'm kind of,
This building's really the original footprint? This is going back on the foundation that's there?
no, that the foundation size, but the foundation that was there was just a granite
It
stone
was taken out.
foundation.
It was taken out.
Right, but I thought it was just a perfect rectangle.
Can't tell you.
It was a rectangle that had all these jobs. This is a different building.
But it's 14, the unit to 14 was my thinking, but I have no problem bringing it to
And
you,
it meets the setback,
yes.
so, I
Does
mean,
meet all the
well,
setbacks.
Are they going, I don't see them, are they, the canopies, the 10-foot canopies, is that gone now?
That is going,
gone.
That's gone.
That's gone. Now it's just.
and the canopies out at the back doors that went into the parking lot, those are gone,
and as it's gonna be a sprinklered building.
yes.
So I guess the thing before the board, all of us is, this is, I mean, if it's changed a quarter of an inch somewhere, I mean, we could certainly argue that it's not the same footprint and it needs a site plan.
And again, I have no problem with that at all. Oscar's got this much done, the applications are done, he'll have to do.
We need to do a full site plan review.
I have no problem with that.
I think it's going in the original configuration, so that's fine. But Oscar made a reference to a couple things in the back, and that would, are there gonna be retaining walls there? Because I can't remember if there are retaining walls.
No,
So you're just gonna terrace it down and it doesn't need it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did get the grading to work.
Okay.
So essentially, there's not gonna be any retaining walls required. This is gonna be
Okay.
quite flat, actually,
okay.
right here. And that's, I'm digging into here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
The
you don't need
foundation wall will be your,
retaining.
That'll be the retaining
Oh,
wall.
I see, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll all be stabilized.
Yeah.
And those big rocks that are there now will be moved, obviously.
Yeah.
Won't be, that won't be part of the site.
No, no.
that was a big argument I had with the insurance companies. They wanted to utilize that same foundation, and I just couldn't do that.
Oh.
1800s.
Yeah,
Foundation,
and
there's
it's
no-
not, it's not a poured foundation, right?
No, no,
No, it's granite
It looked like
slabs.
that way to me.
I don't
Granite slabs.
understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not,
No.
from an engineering point of view, I'm sure you would agree, it's not.
Well, you can make them work, but there would be more information that you'd have to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I have nothing, yeah.
All right, well, we aren't deciding anything here.
No,
other than-
I'm comfortable with allowing David to do what David needs to do without a site plan, if that's, you know, I don't, it's essentially following what was there. So, I mean, essentially what a site plan would do would be give us a different configuration, calculate the water flow, make sure the utilities were adequate, things like that, and I think that that's all
It's an
has been
existing site.
adequate, even with an upgrade, I think, from what I'm hearing. So,
How about stormwater runoff, and you're adding a lot more impervious?
I think it was already, wasn't it already?
I don't think there's a whole lot of green area.
There's not
on
gonna
that
be a
lot.
whole lot of change there.
No, I think it was
Because
already.
it did have the rear parking area, he is pulling another side of that to get his,
Yeah,
Was that gravel?
the older lot is partially gravel, where the 4-unit is, that's partially gravel. They're basically utilizing the same,
I think that was,
The
Was
same
this stretch, the lower stretch to the northeast gravel too?
that was paved, wasn't it? The one facing the former Ross property?
Where you got the herringbone parking?
Yeah. I think that was paved, isn't it?
It's all, you know, it's hard to tell now because it's all been disturbed. Right now, it all seems to be gravel. I would say that, you know, this tighter, the tighter contours that you see on the northeast face has some greenery, and, you know, the greenery will come back. You know, they'll have that lawn area once they get the paving done. They'll put some loam and seed there, and you're probably gaining a little bit green area. I mean, I haven't really itemized it to the nth degree, but I think when it's all said and done, in all these areas that I have green, which will be green because I need to use that to get the slope to go around the building, going from top to bottom. So that's gonna have to be vegetated, you know, and stabilized. My gut tells me that it's gonna be just about a wash, you know, one way or another. From, you know, the way it was to now, I think, once they stabilize it and get the areas that's supposed to be lawn instead of just sparse gravel and weeds, I think it'll be, probably a net zero increase.
So my only question is, when does replacing in kind the same not be the same? I mean, if the building outline is different.
It is.
it is. And let me read this.
What's the wording?
You kinda gotta be a little careful here too, because of what's happened across the
Right.
street.
Right.
As far as,
Well, these buildings across the street, they're gonna have to reconstruct them, they're gonna have to come under the new ordinances.
they're non-conforming now, so that's gonna be hard, yeah.
Right.
But in
This is
the
non-conforming.
C1, it's 0 lot lines anyway.
No, I mean like elevators,
Oh,
Stuff
yeah,
like that.
that's a whole host of, you're right.
whole host of.
Well, yeah.
Are we setting ourselves up for a problem by?
Well, he has to take care of that with the plan for the building permit.
Sure.
Right? We're just doing the site plan. So those life safety codes don't come in front of us anyway, do they?
I don't know.
Well, no, not usually. That's part of the building permit. I mean, when we're doing, you know, we
Yeah,
have
yeah, I
basic
see. Yeah,
stuff like
right.
whether, is it
I agree with you.
sprinklered and,
We we don't wanna tie David's hands.
No, I agree, yeah.
For the future of anything here.
Well, you know, we're making a distinction between an R2 and then the downtown, you know.
What's the wording?
The reconstruction or repair of any non-conforming building or structure which may hereafter be destroyed or damaged by fire or other natural or accidental cause may be permitted, providing the reconstruction or repair covers no greater land than, and has no greater floor area. The reconstruction or repair shall be completed within 1 year from the date of damage. The planning board may grant additional time for completion if it deems that there is just cause for delay.
So it sounds like it's up to the discretion of the planning board, and that's in the ordinance, so there's no gray area.
However, let's keep going.
Uh-oh.
The extent of the damage is less than 75% of the assessed value.
Well, it's gone.
So that's 100%.
Yeah.
Now, was the fire damage less than 75% of the
It
value?
was unlivable,
I can't tell you.
uninhabitable.
It was not worth rebuilding, so.
So the only way that ordinance fits if it's less than 75%.
Of damage.
If it's more than 75%, it doesn't apply?
Right.
Then it has to.
Then it has to meet the current set. With the non-conforming structure, that leads me to believe more that it didn't meet the 20-foot setback, it was encroaching, and if, as long as you could build on that same footprint, you could encroach.
I think
Well-
they should come before us.
Yeah.
And I have no problem. We can get
certainly
on-
we don't wanna do anything that would, you know, cause a problem there's obviously gonna be some issues over here.
And we're looking, if he gets, this is submittals, which are 2/3 done, if he gets them to me, it's only 3 weeks away.
Well, I'm only one member, so it's the rest of them, but
Well, that's why we're talking about it.
I think we should have some form of site review, but I don't, like, as far as traffic studies, I don't believe we would need that here. I think we can limit some of this to make this a little bit easier.
Well, what we're asking, and again, just to make sure we aren't setting that precedent that you're worried about, is for him to submit this as with the proper public notices and all that, as a site plan review.
And with whatever stormwater he wants to, and traffic he wants.
Yeah, whatever else you want to add to it, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty well done. We want to make sure we don't get ourselves in trouble.
similar to what he did for the Wilcox property, if we had that same type of package.
Right. Is that okay?
Oh, that's fine with me. You know, like, like you said, traffic, I think because it's an existing it's a
Right.
duplicate structure, a lot of that.
We're not increasing any traffic, we're not.
So I don't,
And
I
I'll
don't think
try
we
to,
would
like I
need.
said, I'll go on Google Earth and I'll try to itemize the stormwater. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of room.
It's an existing, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of room to do, to be perfectly honest, I don't have a whole lot of room to do much stormwater that would have much function to it, but.
And you're not changing the drainage.
Yeah, I'm not changing any drainage pattern.
Been there for 100 years.
Yeah.
When the fire took place, we found out where all the water went. In the basement of the Ruth Ross's old house that they were redoing.
Oh, boy. They were happy about that?
Actually, they talked to me, they talked to the fire department, they were gonna go down and pump it out. And within a day, the water was gone from that building. I don't know where that went, but.
It's gone. It's gone. Well, we know where it went eventually. It's
Yeah.
probably down in Frenchman's Bay by now.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Should we have a motion that?
Well, this was just
I
old
don't think
business,
so.
new business.
I think
Right.
we just ask you to schedule a site plan review based on this. We hopefully given you good indication, Oscar, but we're just want to make sure we do it right.
Yep, no, as you can see, I'm ready to go.
Okay, well,
And they are talking about merging the two properties, right? So they can't be separated?
Right.
that'll be part of your site plan, already is.
Yeah, it is,
So-
it's consolidation of the
So
lots.
we'll have a formal notice, a public notice and all of that. We'll schedule it for our next meeting. And unless something really weird comes up, I can't imagine there'd be a problem.
Does that require that the two deeds be merged? And will that take any time to do?
I don't know if it needs, I mean, it's all in the same ownership, it's just that they wouldn't, I think maybe as a condition on the approval, you know, that, no,
You'd probably have to record something with the registry that ties those two.
Yeah.
Will that give you enough
The
time?
tax map isn't
Can't,
enough?
can't that be a condition of our approval that they do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, I think
I just
so.
don't wanna hold it
I don't
up.
think it needs to be a full survey or
Right.
anything.
No,
I think
It's
only
just
the
These
description
two
of the
deeds
two.
are
already
gonna be
there.
tied together.
Parcel one,
And,
parcel two.
and those lots are
And some
described on the
wording.
tax map, so,
He owns both.
and you're gonna make
This
it one lot.
line used to go right down through here.
Oh, okay.
So this parking was half ohm,
Right, we couldn't keep all the parking for the 14-unit dwelling, we couldn't keep it all on one lot.
and it never was before.
But it's all the same owner, so shouldn't be any problem.
Okay, well, with that understanding, Oscar, if you're okay, if there's no vote we need to take, I'd just basically ask Dave to schedule a meeting, you know, as an agenda item, a site plan review, and we'll go through the motions we're supposed to go through and call it good.
Perfect. Works for me.
All right,
Don't fold those up, I'll keep those till.
Yeah, I mean, you
Okay.
have to keep it, I don't think I'm gonna change a thing.
okay. All right, any other new business, that,
Not for me,
any old business?
not for me.
You know, I don't know what the surprise is.
The minutes.
The minutes, yeah. And he was so
Lost
good at the
on so
beginning,
many of
you
you.
know?
Make a
All right.
motion to adjourn?
I would ask for such.
I make a motion, a second Tim's motion.
That's right. So the motion is second, all in favor, we are adjourned. There we go.